much for joining me today. Today is going to be part 2 of my addiction story. But today is going to be a little bit different, a little bit more special. Today I am bringing in Leonard, and his YouTube channel is called Recovering Addict, and he has like a Facebook support group, and he has a YouTube channel, and he's all about recovery. So he has really great videos on his channel. He has like lots of stories and testimonies from other people that have gone through addiction. Really cool to watch and see. So definitely go check it out. I will leave all of his links down in the description too, so you can go follow him and subscribe to his channel. I'm going to post a little clip in here about his journey with addiction. His basic mission statement we're talking was basically his mission is to help people get and stay sober. He wants to help people restore their families and broken relationships and stuff like that, and he also wants to save lives, which that's a huge thing for me too. I haven't seen, I will link the video as well, the video of my part 1 if you haven't seen it. Towards the end of my video I have like a memorial of like just a handful of friends that I've had died due to addiction in the last couple of years, so it's very serious. So it's really cool that that's his mission statement as well, and I think his story will impact you as well. So without further ado, I am going to let him do some talking.
Can you go down that trail over here?
Oh, hello there. Welcome to the canyon.
Hi, I'm LT and I'm an alcoholic addict. Addiction. It's not easy to talk about, but I'm gonna tell you a little bit about me. 2 times in my life I've hit rock bottom because of drugs and alcohol. So I was born here in Utah, and I moved to Michigan when I was 13. That's where I really started experimenting with drugs. I was trying marijuana, started my first time drinking, and started playing with hallucinogens. I partied pretty hard out in Michigan until I turned 18, and then I moved back here to Utah. After I got back here to Utah is when I started getting into meth. And meth is what landed me in the county system and locked up for a year. At that time I didn't know I was an addict. I guess I figured I had an addictive personality, but really didn't know what it meant. It took jail to get me out of my meth addiction. Then I smoked weed daily after I got off probation until I was 28. And then from 28 to 33 I stayed sober, but then 33 to 40 I became a severe alcoholic. It started off just with the weekends, you know, barbecues, things like that. It slowly progressed until I started drinking a pint a night. And then the last year was about a fifth a night and gallons on the weekends. And then I had to check myself into a hospital to detox. And I spent 5 months in an IOP. And I've been in recovery for 6 months now. And for people that don't understand addiction, I like to challenge them to quit sugar for 30 days. Just cold turkey quit it. And I give you a little example of what it might be like. But addiction, it rewires the brain, and especially when you are in the midst of it, you go blind. You can't see past your elbows. You are stuck. A lot of people call it a disease. If you don't want to call it a disease, call it whatever it is, because I don't know. It's definitely a problem that people have. And if you found yourself stuck in the grip of addiction, reach out, ask for help. That is the hardest thing to do, is to ask for help. Once you ask for help, trust me, you will find more support than you can imagine. And people are very willing to help, and they find it courageous, and a lot of them find it inspirational. And you'll see a lot of people come around and change and start telling you stuff that they wouldn't normally tell anybody else. They feel this deeper connection with you once you reach out, show that you need help and that you're trying to overcome. Let me list off a whole bunch of benefits from being in recovery that I have experienced. Family restoration and forgiveness, closer to my wife, regaining my reputation at work, becoming once again reliable, being able to think clearly, emotional stability, true friendships, compassion and empathy towards others, a positive contributor and member to society. No more am I a risk to people because I don't drive drunk. A better father, a better son, a better brother, and I've only been doing it for 6 months. Hey, thanks a lot, Hope, for having me on your channel. And to all of Hope's friends out there, she's an inspiration to me, and I imagine she's an inspiration to you as well. Remember, work your program, stay strong, and we recover better together.
Can't addicts just stop using drugs or alcohol? Well, drugs and alcohol cause dopamine to surge in the brain's reward and prefrontal regions. These areas control pleasure, decision-making, judgment, and self-control. That's why we feel pleasure and lose a bit of our self-control when we drink or use drugs. When drugs or alcohol are used repeatedly over time, the brain adapts and becomes less sensitive to the effects of dopamine. We build up a tolerance and need to increase the amount of drugs or alcohol to feel the same amount of pleasure. And eventually, repeated use causes the brain to stop functioning normally, and the effect of dopamine becomes almost non-existent. So the only way to feel pleasure is by taking more drugs or alcohol. When we reach this stage of use, we become addicted. So why can't we just decide to stop using drugs and alcohol? Is it because we don't want to stop? Most people think we chose to start so we can choose to stop and everything will just return to normal. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. Once we become addicted to drugs or alcohol, we lose self-control, judgment, decision-making, and no longer feel pleasure. Using drugs or alcohol is the only way we can feel normal. What began as a harmless way to feel good becomes something that we can't control because we've altered the way our brain functions. This is called addiction, and it's a disease of the brain that must be treated like other diseases. We can't fix addiction by wishing it to go away any more than we can fix cancer or diabetes. They all must be treated medically. Like other chronic diseases, addiction can't be cured. But with proper treatment, it can be successfully managed so people can have a healthy quality of life.
And you are awesome. You are such a great inspiration to so many people. I am so proud of you and think that you're going to be inspiring so many people. And I just want to thank you so much for collabing with me and for coming onto my channel. We recover better together. If anyone is struggling with addiction, if anyone or has a family, a friend, co-worker, everybody knows someone that's suffering from addiction at some point in their lives. And if you need to know how to get help, I will post the helpline outro, and I will also post the numbers down in my description as well. Just know that it does get better. Our recovery is so worth it. And part 1, I was basically talking all about my story mostly, all the challenges I faced with addiction, but I didn't really get to much better my life is in recovery. It's been so much better. I mean, there's been ups and downs, and I yes, I battle with chronic illness, and yes, it's really hard battling with chronic illness when you are in so much pain and you can't take pain medications and things like that. It sure beats the other life that I was living. Alive, I've restored so many relationships. I mean, I've lost some friends throughout the process, just to be expected, you know, from just the damage, and all I can do is do a loving amends and do the best that I can, just trying to do the next right thing and just stay focused, to stay positive. I rely mostly on my higher power. I honestly don't do meeting much at all anymore. I rely mostly just on my church family and my higher power, God, and family and friends. I've restored my relationship with my son. Was able to get, before my health started going downhill, I got a really good job. My relationship with my parents is better than ever. I've restored a lot of old friendships that were on the verge of breaking. It's just being able to live with yourself and being able to be motivated. Recovery is better. I'm coming on my channel, Leonard. You guys go check out his channel. I'll leave it in the description. He has an awesome Facebook group if you are in addiction. And I will put all of his social media stuff down below. I'll just finish it up. We'll close this out. I love you guys. Don't forget to subscribe, and turn on those post notifications. And I will see you guys next time for my next video. I love you. Bye.
Everything changes.